Good morning, listeners. I'm Peter, and I'm going to introduce Dr. H today. She's going to be sharing our Kids Shake webinar on how to feed athletic kids. And I thought I might explain a little bit about my thoughts on this before Dr. H comes in. So I've got 4 children, and one is quite athletic with her basketball and golf. She loves her sport. And one thing I have noticed is that she distinctly notices lower energy levels if poor eating patterns have preceded a sporting event. So to me, it's been interesting how a 13-year-old daughter has really gained the knowledge of her own accord that she needs to eat a bit better going into sporting activities. So we as adults definitely notice this. So it makes sense that it would be even more potential and more noticeable for our children and adolescents going into their activities. So without any extra time from me, let me pass the microphone over to Dr. Rach, who will explain all this in a lot greater detail. Here you go, Rach.
Thank you, Pete. Thanks for introducing me. Well, I was very excited to spend some time researching on how to feed athletic kids. A lot of this information I already know, but I just wanted to make sure I was up to date on all the latest science and the research. But when I had a look at what was available online on the internet by professionals or experts, I was a little bit discouraged with what I found. Now, I just want to go over the American Dietetics Association, what they recommend for a high carbohydrate day for an athletic teen. Now, they suggest that the morning you start with 1 cup of orange juice, 2 pancakes, 1/4 cup of syrup, 2 teaspoons of margarine, and 1 cup of reduced fat milk. Then for lunch, they suggested 2 slices of thick crust cheese pizza, 1 cup of watermelon, and a 12-ounce container of lemonade. For a snack, they suggested 4 peanut butter crackers, 1 cup of reduced fat milk, and 1 medium banana. Now for the dinner, they suggested 3 ounces of chicken breast, 1/2 cup of pasta, 1/2 cup of stir-fried vegetables, 1 medium wheat roll, 1 teaspoon of margarine, 1 cup of strawberries, 1 cup of reduced fat milk, and then for an after dinner snack, they suggested 1 cup of frozen yogurt. Now, when I had a look at this list of food, it actually took me quite a while to find where the vegetable content was. There was a solitary 1 serving of vegetables for the whole day, and I thought, is this a joke? Is this really what we want to be feeding our kids if we want them to perform at their optimal athletic performance? Things like margarine, full of trans fats, 12 ounces of lemonade, pounds of sugar in that, 2 slices of thick crusted cheese pizza. I'm sure they don't even have suggested that it be a whole grain or a whole wheat pizza base, and 1/4 cup of syrup. I know that I would feel like crap if I ate this diet. I would want to curl up and go to sleep rather than to hit the sports field. So when I added up all the sugar that this diet represented, it came in as a whopping 134 grams. That's 33.5 teaspoons of sugar. To put that in perspective, that's over 5 times the maximum sugar that is recommended by the World Health Organization and the American Heart Association. So I understand that active teens need more energy than the average teenager, but these calories need to come from beneficial foods, not from harmful foods that promote inflammation and disease. So please grab an orange over a cup of orange juice, put bananas on your pancakes rather than sugary syrup, and eat some vegetables. So feeding athletic teens, it's more than just feeding them more carbohydrates as well as just giving them sports drinks. Good nutrition that provides them the macronutrients, which means the protein, carbohydrates, and fats that they need, but that also provides them important micronutrients. These are the minerals and vitamins that support their athletic performance, but that also supports their growth and development. So let's talk about what proper nutrition can give our athletic teens. Firstly, it can give them increased lean muscle mass. And I don't know any athlete that doesn't want that. They can also get decreased body fat, increased mental alertness, which is very important in all sporting activities, a more efficient recovery, and it can improve their energy levels quite significantly. And what do inadequate diets do to our little athletes? Well, the first thing is they give them insufficient energy for workouts. You'll find your kids lose their energy and aren't able to perform throughout their whole sporting activity. These nutritional deficiencies can lead to illness and fatigue. And if you have got a child that has got heavy physical demands on them, you do not want these two issues. And it can also affect their bone growth. Okay, so determination alone cannot make up for performance drops caused by dietary deficiencies. So you can't think yourself or will yourself out of a bad diet. So let's talk about what athletic kids should be eating. Athletic kids and teens do not need a diet substantially different in composition from the average healthy diet. They just need more good foods. So with the following guidelines I'm going to give you, just remember that every person is bio-unique. And this means that everyone has personal interactions with food. So you need to listen to your body, listen to your child's body to work out what diet is best for them. Okay, so let's talk about carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates are the most important source of energy for active kids and teens. Now, giving your children the right level of carbohydrates are important to maintain their blood sugar levels during exercise and also to replace those important glycogen stores after they have performed their exercise. Now, carbohydrates, they release energy 3 times faster in the body than fat does. Carbohydrates, we've been given recommendations by the American Dietetic Association for what kind of levels our children should be having carbohydrates in. I've got really specific details on my Dr. H website, but as an average, children should be having 2 to 5 grams of carbohydrates for every pound that they weigh, and that is within 1 day. So these levels are dependent on their daily activity level, the type of sport they play, their gender, boys do need more, and environmental conditions, whether the heat can make a difference to how much energy you do burn off when you're exercising. So my advice is to write a food diary and track your performance or your child's performance to work out which carbohydrate levels are best for your child. Now, with carbohydrates, it's very important to focus on the source of these carbohydrates, as some carbohydrates are much healthier than others. My favorite type of carbohydrates are vegetables, fruit, quinoa, legumes. These things are high in minerals, vitamins, phytonutrients, and fiber, as well as whole grains, but just as long as you don't edge out those fruit and vegetables and replace them with whole grains. Bad carbohydrates are soda, candy, white bread, all refined flour products. Candy bars, soda, and high sugar sports drinks can give your athlete a quick burst of energy followed by a sugar crash before they have ended their athletic activity. So high sugar products can have lots of problems with children. They can decrease their immune system. They can promote inflammation. They can give them gut infections. They can give them weight issues, mood issues, increased dental cavities, and the list goes on. So keep away from sugar where possible, except for in those when they're performing an endurance athlete, then look for great healthy sugar alternatives or options to give them some extra energy. So let's talk about protein. Protein is really important for building, repairing, and maintenance of muscles. I have more specific guides on my blog, but as a general guide, child athletes should be having 0.5 to 0.7 of a gram of protein per pound of their body weight in a day. Just to give you an idea, 40% of boys and girls do not, aged between 1 and 8, do not have adequate protein levels in their diet. Our 9 to 13-year-olds, 55% of kids do not have enough protein. And the teenagers, 40% of males are not getting enough protein, and a whopping 75% of females do not get enough protein. So what are my favorite sources of protein? Nuts and seeds, legumes, eggs, fish, high quality dairy, lean meats, and of course, Kids Shake. One thing we do have to remember, that if you do give your child too much protein, this can lead to dehydration, weight gain, increased calcium losses. So just make sure the protein levels are adequate for your child's age. Okay, fats. Now, healthy fats are a great source of fuel for active children, and research has shown that they have a faster rate of oxidation in children than they do in adults, which means they are able to much more efficiently utilize dietary fats as a fuel than adults are. So as a rough guide, fats should take up 25 to 35% of the daily calories. And again, we have to remember that not all fats are equal. We want to be avoiding trans fats. We want to be avoiding fried fats, processed food, corn oils and soy oils, which are GMO. Most of the time they are GMO oils. We want to be keeping away from those. But there are amazing sources of nutritious fats. My favorites are avocados, nuts, seeds, fatty fish, coconut products, olive products. Fats are also a great way to encourage your kids to eat vegetables. Roasting vegetables in some olive oil or coconut oil, sauteing them. These are a great way to get vegetables to be delicious for our kids. So let's talk about micronutrients. So micronutrients include minerals, vitamins, and phytonutrients. And regular exercising and training increases the need for micronutrients for our little athletes' bodies. The minerals and vitamins most commonly found to be of concern in athletes' diets, especially females. Females are more prone to these mineral and vitamin deficiencies. They are calcium, vitamin D, the B vitamins, iron, zinc, magnesium, as well as antioxidants such as C, E, beta carotene, and selenium. And that's quite a big list there. So let's talk about calcium. Why is calcium so important? Well, it regulates muscle contractions, nerve conductions, and normal blood clotting in the body. Calcium, along with vitamin D, helps to build strong bones that resist breaking and stress fractures. Good sources of calcium, the less obvious ones first: collard greens, kale, white beans, almonds, broccoli, canned salmon, and high quality dairy products can all be excellent sources of calcium. Now, vitamin D is essential for the adequate absorption of calcium. So again, it helps to build strong bones. It's important for your nervous system and for your skeletal muscles. So people that are at risk of having vitamin D deficiencies are athletes that train indoor a lot. So get your kids outside, or get them, consider putting them on supplementation if you are concerned about their vitamin D levels. Okay, iron. Iron is essential for the formation of the oxygen-carrying proteins. Hemoglobin, and that's oxygen carrying in our blood, and myoglobin. Myoglobin carries the oxygen to our muscles. Iron is also required for the enzymes involved with energy production. Now, iron, this is the most prevalent nutritional deficiency in athletes, especially in our female athletes. And when you have an iron deficiency, it can affect the work capacity, and it can impair muscle functioning. So big consequences from iron deficiency. So what predisposes people to iron deficiency? Rapid growth spurts, menstruation. If you've got a daughter that's menstruating regularly or heavily, make sure you're on top of her iron levels. Distance running places a great need on the body for iron. Training at high altitude, as well as a vegetarian diet predispose you to have iron issues. So iron-rich food include things like lean meats, chicken, seafood, eggs. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Leafy green vegetables and lentils. You also need to make sure that you have lots of vitamin C rich food in your diet to allow your body to absorb calcium correctly. Vitamin C rich food include things like broccoli, peppers, grapefruit, and iron. So if you do correct iron levels, you will find that endurance is improved. There is reduced lactase concentrations in the muscles, as well as reduced muscle fatigues. Okay, the B vitamins. B vitamins are required to optimize energy production and for the building and repair of muscle tissues. So the B complex vitamins, they have two major functions directed to exercise. Thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, peroxidine, panthenoic acid, and biotin are all involved in energy production in exercise. Whereas folate and B12, they are required for the production of red blood cells, for protein synthesis, and for tissue repair and maintenance. So of the B vitamins, riboflavin, peroxidine, folate, and vitamin B are frequently low in female diets, especially those that are vegetarian or those athletes which have a tendency towards eating disorders. Some research does suggest that exercise may increase the need for B vitamins as much as twice as the recommended amount. So although short-term deficiencies of vitamin B have not been observed to impact performance, severe deficiency of B12, folate, or both may result in anemia and reduced athletic performances. So B vitamin-rich food include leafy greens, green peas, broccolis, lentils, almonds, pecans, bananas, yogurt, cheese, avocado, sweet potato, chicken, eggs, salmon, as well as other seafood. So if you do have a really varied diet, then you'll find that you don't have too many problems with B vitamins. Next, we're going to talk about hydration and electrolytes. Hydration is a very important factor in athletic performance. It also can significantly affect recovery and coordination. So younger athletes are more prone to dehydration than older athletes. Dehydration is considered to be greater than 2% loss in body weight. This can compromise the aerobic performance. People, particularly in hot weather, may be prone to this, and it can also affect and impair mental and cognitive performance. So just so you know, signs of dehydration include dark urine or reduced volume of urine. Get your athlete to look out for a bright yellow urine. If they are having problems with that, then they need to increase their hydration. If they stop to sweat, if there is nausea, vomiting, headache, dizziness, muscle cramps, chills, clammy skins, they're all signs of dehydration. So thirst is not a reliable indicator of hydration status, so it is recommended that kids drink before they exercise and for every 15 to 20 minutes during physical exercise. It is also important to drink afterwards to restore the fluid loss through sweat. The body loses water a lot faster than electrolytes. For most kids, for their activity for only an hour or less, you only require water replacement. This is different, of course, for a high humidity environment. So sports drinks claim to provide energy and replace electrolytes. So are they good or not? So Mary Story from the University of Minnesota School of Public Health released the following report on sports drinks. For most kids, there is no reason for them to have sports drink. It's not going to increase physical performance. She goes on to say that a 20-ounce sports drink may have fewer calories in it than soda, but has more sugar, more sodium, and no nutritional value. There are some good electrolyte powders and drinks out there, so just make sure that you are diligent in reading the levels to check for sugars, make sure there's no chemical sweeteners in there, as well as other nasties such as artificial colors, flavors, and preservatives. Now, it is important to avoid caffeinated drinks with children as they act as a diuretic and may lead to dehydration. So electrolyte Drinks may be important with kids with high sweat loss when athletes compete in hot and humid climates, and for those who compete in endurance races. So electrolyte foods include things such as banana, celery, seaweed, sweet potatoes, leafy green vegetables, beans, lentils, and fresh coconut water. So the bottom line is that for most young athletes, water is the best type of hydration. Okay, so eating healthy for your little athlete will help them deal with the stresses of competition much better. Other tips for top performance include getting them into a good sleep routine, teaching them how to relax, educating them to the adverse effects of smoking, drinking, and recreational drugs, educating them about how their food choices will affect their performance as well as their growth. It can be beneficial to give your athletic kids a good multivitamin and a good mineral to help support the increased demands on their bodies. Performance enhancing supplements such as creatine, andro, and DHEA should be avoided by all teen athletes. Kids love information, so talk to them about how good nutrition improves their performance and start letting them have some ownership of their health. Thank you so much for joining me today.